They're big and they're sweaters. Looney Tunes are trendsetters. Welcome to HowDoWeHuman. It's the podcast where we do stuff like that. Normally the podcast where we overanalyze all the weird and awkward, uncomfortable micro moments in life. I'm one of your hosts, Evan Cox.
I'm one of your hosts, Chris Binning.
I'm going at a slow pace today for some reason. Maybe because this is one of our serious episodes, an investigation, if you will.
When I think of Looney Tunes, I think of slow pace.
And when I think of slow-paced, serious podcasts, I think Tiny Toon theme song parody to start the episode.
That's right.
Before we dig in, we didn't talk about whether we're doing this or not, but here we go. Before we dig in, Chris.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. This is a story from a couple weeks ago, but I'm going to tell it now as if it recently happened.
Oh, I love that.
My fiance and I were going to brunch at a restaurant, and we get into the parking lot. And it's kind of a small parking lot, but I see a car pulling out of the space. And I'm like, perfect. Let me pull in right there. And so as soon as that car gets out of the way, a car from the other direction floors their gas and whips into that parking space instead to steal it from me. So already I'm a little mad, but I go just a little bit further to where their car was.
Yeah.
Was waiting to find several open spots right there where they could have easily just parked.
That's insult to injury.
I park there. We get out of the car. We're walking over, and I see the driver of the truck that stole our parking spot. And now he's speed walking in order to beat us to the hostess stand and check in for a table for two. So now I'm double pissed. That's the end of the story, but that shit just really... I'm trying to have a nice, wholesome brunch, and I gotta deal with this bullshit.
That is so
puts me in the wrong mindset, which I recognize is my problem, but is it though?
Yeah, I think he entered the situation like everything is my problem. I'm going to do it all. I'm not apologizing. We're just embracing it. This is all my fault. I suck. Yeah. You can't have anything you want today. I'm taking it all. Brunch ruined.
Yeah. It's just it was a little frustrating to see him huffing and puffing his way past.
Outrageous.
And then when he got called for his table, I was like, that should have been me.
Should have been mine.
Evan, how you doing?
I've got the microest of updates.
Okay.
But it felt like something I needed to share. I got an Instagram message from an old buddy of mine who listens to the pod and the cast.
Okay, both.
And he sent me a picture of a full-on 2-piece European bidet. And he said, the real deal. And I told him, man, I'm glad that's my reputation.
Yeah.
I'm the guy you see a bidet, and it's like, we got to send this to
Holy shit, Evan's got to see
because he'll
this.
care. And I did truly care. He's vacationing in Italy. And I was like, man, I want it. That looks great. It's like, I didn't realize it's 2 separate seats. You do your business on one seat, and you go over to the cleaning station. I kind of like that. A whole new world. Yeah. Leave that behind. And let's get clean. So just wanted to shout that out. Michael, thanks for reaching out. And if anyone else wants to send me photos of bidets, that's at Evan Andrew Cox or at HowDoWeHuman. We're out there and we care.
Yeah. Please send Evan your bidet pics.
Man, I don't know. I don't have a. I was so excited about my intro. I don't have a way to get into this. Um,
Well, look, these are stories that are just a little loony. Let's
mm.
talk about the Looney Tunes in fashion. Did we even mention that that's what we were doing at the beginning of this episode?
No, it was an investigative episode. I sang the Tiny Toons themes and said an investigative episode was incoming. So I
I
hope we
mean,
didn't lose anyone.
fair enough. The title of this episode should probably clue you in.
Yeah,
This is we talked about doing this episode a long time ago. I don't even remember if it was on mic, but I brought it back up because I happened to be at a store. I was looking for, like, what should I wear to the rehearsal dinner for the wedding coming up in a
yeah.
couple weeks here. I got to figure out what outfit I want to wear. And I'm going to all these different stores, and I pop in to a Sears. And in this Sears, they have a Looney Tunes sweater.
Okay.
And I was like, this I had to do a double take because I I guess it's not even a sweater now looking at the photo. It's a t-shirt. But
I had to do
I'm
a
going to
double take that you
share.
were at a Sears. I didn't know they were still around.
Well, that's the thing, is this Sears that I went to closed and then reopened for some reason, but with significantly less stock.
That I've seen that happen. It's the old Kmart special.
Yeah, exactly.
We've reopened. All our merchandise is on the ground. All right, love this.
Okay. So this I don't know how well it's showing on here, but you can see it's a red shirt. It says Looney Tunes across the top. And then you've got 12 different character heads.
I'd have to
Um
say, yeah, exactly 12.
and you'd have to say it.
Name them as fast
And
as you can. Go.
name them, is that what you said?
Yeah, name them in order.
Sure. Daffy, Bugs, Tweety, Marvin, Roadrunner, Porky, Foghorn, Leghorn, Taz, Sylvester, Yosemite Sam, Wile E. Coyote, and Elmer Fudd.
That was
Easy.
solid. That was
Um,
solid.
but I don't know if this is showing up as well because these are not their names that are underneath their heads.
No, I
These
see
are
that.
one word descriptions, but as we go through them, you're going to kind of wonder, like, what? Some of these don't make sense. Like the first one is Daffy Duck. And by the way,
Yeah,
anybody that really doesn't feel like I've painted a good enough photo of this shirt in their minds, you can check us out on our YouTube channel. You'll be able to
please
see
do.
the video of this. But the first character here is Daffy Duck, and it just says greedy underneath it. And it's like, okay, sure. Daffy Duck is greedy.
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny, it says player underneath it. It's like, I don't quite know if that makes as much sense, but
I get the
sure.
direction they're going. Yeah.
Tweety Bird, it says agitator.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're starting to lose me a little bit. And it's going to get weirder as we go down this list. Marvin the Martian, of course, says alienated because he's an alien.
Yeah.
I get it. Clever. The Roadrunner flippant is the word that they've used.
Okay.
It's like, I see kind of where you're going. Porky Pig, it says ham. I guess because he's a pig.
All right.
Foghorn Leghorn, it says oblivious, which I don't really remember as being his defining character trait.
Yeah.
Here's where we get a little weirder. The Tasmanian Devil, all it says underneath is whatevs.
I think that's perfectly in line with Looney Tunes fashion in general. It's just
Yeah.
Taz and it says whatevs on it.
Yeah.
But yes, that's nonsense.
Sylvester, it says scaredy cat. Okay, I'm back on
Okay.
board. I understand. Um, Yosemite Sam, it says hothead. Yeah, I got it. But
Mhm.
this is really where I'm most unsure of why I would purchase this shirt. Why would anybody purchase the shirt that has Wile E. Coyote's face and just
Mhm.
says whipped underneath it?
I couldn't read what it said.
I don't. I'll see if I can zoom in. It says
Really?
whipped right there under Wile E. Coyote's face.
It says cook.
Yeah. What is this? And then last Elmer Fudd, it says special underneath
Wow.
underneath
Okay,
him, which is also like that.
that's a little.
That's those last two really um really are bizarre choices to include on that shirt. And
That
as soon as I
was.
saw that, I took a photo and I was like, Evan, it's time
We
to talk
gotta.
about Looney Tunes fashion because
That's where this all started.
yes, I don't
The-
know why in the world you would purchase this, you know?
It's also just from a graphic design standpoint, pretty arbitrary where they place the text underneath each head. Like, I get
Sure.
Yosemite Sam, the mustache is covering up. That's part of the joke, and I love that. But
Yeah.
they've added that text like closer to his face than any other one of these, and
Yeah.
then whipped is like, and ham. Those are both like a solid inch
Yes.
below. This is just random. But the other thing is like, my initial take when I saw this,
Yeah.
and it turned out it didn't matter. My initial take when I saw this is like, because this is kind of a meme format where
Sure.
it's the like the shirt with all the Darth Vader heads that says all the different emotions. So it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is me feeling this way, this way, this way, this way.
Uh-huh.
But this goes back and forth between
It does.
making sense in that sense and making sense in the sense you're looking at it as like defining characteristics of these characters. Uh, this is peak. I don't know. It appears in my mind it could be unlicensed, but if it's in a
Yeah.
Sears, who knows anymore. But this is peak what we're talking about. I think. I think both, because those are the big two. An angry Tweety bird that says agitator, and a
Right.
Taz with his tongue stuck out that says whatevs. Or
Yeah.
what Eves?
Yeah, it is. It does. The way that they've spelled it here is
I don't
with
know.
as if it's supposed to say whatever, but
Yeah.
instead of an R, they put an S. So what eves or whatevs. Either way, this is peak Taz fashion.
I can say that over two to the left. That is my face when I'm feeling ham.
Yeah, when you're feeling ham, you're just a little pig in a bow tie. But yeah, I mean,
It's also like, isn't this shirt? I mean, who knows? there's
there's
no
a lot.
logic.
There's a lot to figure out about this shirt, and
Yes.
we don't have the answers. I mean, because the other thing I thought was like, not only is it arbitrary where the text is, it feels like the order of the characters is also very arbitrary. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
I wouldn't have put Marvin the Martian in that top row with those big stars.
But it feels like Marvin the Martian is in the clothing world. He's not as big a
Sure,
character in the show as he is in merch.
that's true.
So I don't know. There might be some research behind this. We can't say for sure. Is there research behind this episode? I want to say some.
Yeah, there
Yes.
is some.
Yesterday, I was looking around. I was like, I'm going to devote my entire day to this. Nah, not quite. But I looked into basically the main thing we're trying to investigate in my mind. It's like, what happened? Where did all this come from? We
Sure.
all know that, particularly in the 90s, a little bit in the 90s, it was like a fashion thing. In the early 2000s, it was gas station fashion. Uh,
Yeah.
at least in Elma, that was, you go to the gas station, they'd have a bunch of like black shirts and hoodies with a angry Tweety bird on it or something. And it's like, it's all stuff that's not like we just witnessed, not really in line with the characters or the show itself or what have you. And I think we mentioned this 100 episodes ago. I'm just kind of fascinated. Like, what happened? Where did this come from? And when I was
Yes.
researching yesterday, I
Did you
found
find that GQ
nothing.
article? Oh.
No, I found absolutely nothing. You found a GQ article.
Yes. So, these and this particular set of fashion is kind of what you just kind of alluded to it. I'll pull up a couple of photos because I have some. But this is like in particular, like the Looney Tunes
Yes.
characters in um quote unquote uh streetwear. Um
Yeah.
uh I've seen a couple of articles and things refer to it as um gangster clothing, or even more corporately alarming, urban wear. But I've got a couple others here too. But it all, at least according to this article um, from GQ, it can all be traced back to the same company, Evan,
Ooh.
which is
Okay.
interesting. But basically, I won't be able to keep sharing these images and focus on the the article that I'm trying to read, so I'm gonna have to stop doing that. But it all gets traced back to the legendary Queens based design crew, the Mighty Shirt Kings,
Interesting.
um which is composed of three different people: Edwin Fade Sakasa, Raphael Kashim Avery, and Clyde Nike Harewood. The group took the colorful aesthetics of the 80s New York City graffiti and applied them to t-shirts. So they were working in Queens in the Coliseum Mall, um, and they became known for combining known cartoon figures, including Looney Tunes, including Disney characters, including comic strip characters, with, as this GQ article quotes, "Fly Boy flourishes like gold teeth." So according to one of them, it was all about like combining fanhood and obligation. Which is what this said. And the
Oh,
quote from him is like, "You got to remember 84, 85, 86. That was when the crack era came out and was devastating communities and destroying families. We had almost a moral job to bring joy to people's lives, and you found joy when you were a child."
interesting.
So basically, in order to combat crack cocaine, they put gold chains on Bugs Bunny, sold them as
Yeah,
shirts.
I approve. That is fascinating, though, because what I was going to say is I did find some stuff 5 minutes before we started recording. I opened up a whole vein of gold.
I don't know.
My friend Robbie was saying he recently watched a documentary about gold miners, and they referred to those as glory holes the entire documentary, and
Hilarious.
that's very funny. Like, I got to see this documentary. So mine, and I guess we'll see these do intersect in a certain way. You mentioned the mid 80s.
Yeah.
So I, as just like an opinion that I found of someone's, but I'm like, ooh, that is interesting, is they traced the beginning of it back to 1984, which is also a year you
Groupthink.
mentioned, groupthink. 1984 is the year that Six Flags acquired a certain company and
Oh,
got
interesting.
the rights to those Looney Tunes characters. So now, in the mid 80s, the Looney
Yeah.
Tunes are connected to children, young people, in a different way. They're
Mm-hmm.
selling merch. So that's just, as a fact, Looney Tunes represents a little something different right this second. And that is always a partnership that's never really made sense to me, but it's been
Yeah.
there since the mid 80s. It's baffling. I believe I mentioned I made an ad for them once, and they were like, "You've got to blur out all the Looney Tunes characters. We can't use these." I don't have a real grasp on the deal that they have. But so around that same time, so we're talking about young people, Criss
Yeah.
Cross
Okay.
in the early 90s, so not around the same time. Maybe it was late 80s, early 90s. I believe it was like 1990. Criss Cross, little hip hop group of two children, straight up kids. Jump. Criss Cross gonna make you jump.
Yeah.
I learned again, inside out clothes, wiggity 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 whack. They, I don't know, I can't get to the bottom of if it was they put it out or someone else put it out, maybe even this company you're talking about. The first shirt of this type that I found was a crisscross related shirt, and it was Bugs Bunny and the Tasmanian Devil back to back wearing the same type of clothes as
Yes.
crisscross, and they wore their pants backwards because that was the style at the
Yes.
time.
In fact, I have that
You
photo
got it on hand.
here. I did not know that was attributed to
I don't know if it's.
Crisscross, but
I don't think it's official merch,
yeah.
but it's styled after them and was released at that time. And as far as everything I could say or see, that was my origin for this. Yours predates it, which is interesting. But in my timeline, I'm like, that makes sense. If in 1984, Six Flags, Looney Tunes, kids, a kid hip hop group, merch, making
Yeah.
cash, I can see that timeline. How that then just permeates America and the gas stations of Elmo is a little bit beyond me, but it's a
Yeah,
start.
the crisscross angle is interesting because the Shirt Kings in Queens, or the Mighty Shirt Kings, they are also, their story also intersects with musicians,
Ooh,
because this article attributes the popularity of those clothes coming from both college kids wearing the designs,
okay.
especially outside of New York, to kind of spread it further, but also attributes then hot Queens natives, LL Cool J and Run
Oh,
DMC's Jam Master Jay,
interesting.
as people who really helped that shop blow up.
Okay. All right. So, I guess my question here then is because this starts as far as I could tell, unlicensed Looney Tunes merch.
Yes.
And that clothing company seems to be the kind of beginning of it. And having Looney Tunes be something, the characters not necessarily being what we know them as. So I've seen plenty of that. These hip hop, Tweety Bird, etc.
Yeah.
But then it feels like in the 90s that evolved to something else. To the kind of questionable point. Not questionable in that way, just like, what happened here? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
understand that. Getting this history, I get that. That makes sense. If I were around at the time, I'd have loved it. What? How do we get from there to the shirt you just showed? You know what I mean? Where it's like
I yeah.
we're still putting out weird Looney Tunes shit. And it's gone
Well,
from like, oh, it's just hip hop Looney Tunes to complete nonsense in my eyes.
yeah. I mean, the last thing from this article from GQ that I'll mention
Okay.
is basically like they didn't have any sort of legal entanglements with Warner Brothers over
Interesting.
this merchandise, which like would never fly today.
No.
If stuff like this happened today, they'd get taken to court or cease and desist or whatever. Um,
Should we? I mean,
but
and John Oliver's made a big deal about Steamboat Willie being in the public domain now. Should we
yeah,
make hip hop Steamboat Willie shirts that say "How do we human"?
absolutely, we should.
I'll mock
But
something up.
they never got into any sort of legal issue with Warner Brothers.
Interesting.
And the reason that they say that is basically like hip hop was not like the big commercial
The mainstream.
thing that it is today.
Yeah.
And so, quote, there was a vast space between urban and corporate. So
Mm-hmm.
it sounds like Warner Brothers was like, I'm not going to waste my time with this,
Yeah.
which ultimately was probably a good decision
Sounds like it.
to let that all go and just let your characters get out there even more so that more people are like fans.
Yeah. Believe it or
But
not.
the other thing in that Reddit thread from the what I shared the photo that you were describing,
Mm-hmm.
there is a comment on here that because that was just about just weird Looney Tunes merchandise.
Yeah.
And there's a comment on here that was like, my favorite was Tweety Bird with a backwards hat and 90s hip hop clothing with the caption, because I'm the mom. That's why. Three totally unrelated things jammed on a t shirt together.
I love that.
And somebody replied to that. And I think this is um, kind of ties in what you were saying. How did we get to this point?
Yeah.
Is Tweety was the Minions before the Minions were the Minions,
Ooh, I like
which is
that.
that sort of like just put a photo of a minion and some vaguely sassy remark,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got like
Gold.
merchandise that appeals to a disturbingly large amount of people.
I that is fascinating, and I think that was our original question in the first place. Is like there are those. It's Bugs Bunny and Daffy, but these shirts, it's always been Tweety, Taz, mostly Tweety and Taz.
Mostly Tweety and
Some,
Taz.
as I said,
Bugs
some
probably
Marvin
number
the
3.
Martian.
Yeah.
This is a slight segue, but I'd been looking on eBay to see old '90s shirts, and this is
Yeah.
like what we're
And
talking about.
right from the shirt that I had showed
The shirt
earlier
you had
too.
all right for audio listeners. The shirt he audibly described. I'm gonna audibly describe this one, but this is like what I was talking about, where this
Right.
is. Oh, now let's do that math. 4x4, 16? Yes.
16.
16 Tweety birds with different looks on their face: angry, annoyed, confident, confused, contemplative, disgusted, ecstatic, greedy, guiltless, happy, hungry, innocent, jubilant, loony, mischievous, and shocked. That was hard. Okay. So I don't know the point. How come disgusted? He doesn't. Oh, he does have a beak. I lost it. Okay. How are you feeling today? I don't know. There we go. Here's Tweety on a motorcycle. And it's like you watch Looney Tunes. Tweety Bird's never on a motorcycle.
Right.
This never happened.
And this is interesting because this you would expect from a lot of the things that we've seen for it to be like a badass Tweety Bird on a motorcycle.
Right.
But this is like Tweety Bird has lost control of the vehicle right when this quote unquote photo was taken.
So this is by Garnet Graphics? I can't read that. Oh, Garment.
I can't either.
Garment Graphics Active.
I would assume that because the Mighty Shirt Kings never came across any sort of legal issues,
yeah,
that it kind of inspired a bunch of different smaller companies to pop up and just start taking a swing at it, basically.
Yeah. For real. Tweety Bird with a backwards hat looking sad.
Yeah, I guess.
This is what I'm getting at. It's like, I'll stop sharing my screen, but like, it's the origin we both came up with makes absolute sense to me.
Yes.
And there's a underground punkness to it that I appreciate. But how did we get to the three things I just shared?
Yeah,
the shirt you shared earlier. I don't know.
I can't figure out where that sort of link is between those two things. But a lot of that I think it's basically like somebody got away with it.
Yeah.
So now all of us can use our awful merch ideas using those characters. Because it is, even though that Mighty Shirt Kings shop says that they, did a little bit with Disney characters and a little bit with like comic strip characters, it really is the Looney Tunes characters that are like fully associated with that. And the article doesn't really say why that is. It kind of loosely ties a couple things to it. I would assume that it's because those characters were more violent than a lot of the Disney characters, that maybe helped them stick around longer. I would assume that Disney probably got involved in some legal entanglements with some of those unlicensed uses. And then it also attributes Space Jam as part of why you see a lot of that too.
I watched a video from the Looney Tunes critic, which was titled, "Was Space Jam inspired by Criss Cross?" All comes full circle, baby.
Interesting. It all comes together.
Here's a thought. Because when I really think about it, Tweety Bird's not like, those aren't the most popular Looney Tunes cartoons by any means. I don't consider Tweety Bird like within sweatshirts aside, within the context of Looney Tunes. Is Tweety Bird even that popular? I suppose there's a great word that you would use in a trial that I can't think of it, but I put forth in front of you all. Is this character you've mentioned, where it's like Tweety Bird on the sweatshirts isn't the Looney Tunes Tweety Bird, it's its own thing. Is that inherently more popular, and has it always been more popular? Like, do more people know that as Tweety Bird than what he's actually like in the cartoon? And it took a life of its own. And that's how we end up with these shirts, is people realize, like, they'll just buy any fucking shirt with Tweety Bird on it, and he can be doing anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I should also admit, I'm pretty sure I had a shirt with the Tasmanian Devil with his hat on backwards when I was a kid. So I'm a part of this.
I definitely had Looney Tunes merchandise. I think I've told this story before. I had a shirt that had like a little pocket square, or not, like a little pocket on it. But
fancy.
And then like all the Looney Tunes characters are like poking up out of the pocket as if I were carrying them around all day. And I loved that shirt. And then this was in like first grade or something. and some another kid took a pair of scissors and just like snipped the sleeve, just a tiny, like not even the full sleeve, but the little
The
like
seam.
binding around it, the
Yeah.
seam, and just kind of snipped it, and was basically like, "You loved that shirt, and now I have snipped it." Well, like he didn't say that, but that was the vibe of like, I've taken something that you love, and I have just barely ruined it for you.
That's that kids, however old they were. It's I love insane shit like that, where it's like you would just look at this kid and be like, "Why did you do that? What is wrong
Yeah,
with you?" And he'd be like, "I don't know."
yeah.
They just do stuff sometimes. I don't know. I don't know.
But I never had any of
That's
the
heartbreaking.
stuff we're talking about with the backwards hats and
Okay.
backwards jeans and all that stuff.
I'll have to look. I think I have a photo of myself in a Taz shirt with a backwards hat. And if I do, I'll share that with y'all. I definitely, it was a shirt with, and this is, hey, even more getting in the 90s world, there were aliens involved. Green aliens. So it was a shirt that was like a lineup with like three aliens, and in the middle a Tasmanian devil, being like, "Oh,
Okay.
it wasn't me."
Yeah.
That was like my favorite shirt at whatever age I was at that point. I don't remember what happened to it. Nobody snipped its sleeves, thank God. But yeah, I don't know. I think like getting through all of this, I have to question: do I like it? I think I do. I think I'm glad they all exist. It's an
Yeah.
oddity. It's a big question mark in American culture, and I like it.
Yeah, it is an oddity. It is like, I think it just inherently is tied to nostalgia for us, even
Yeah,
though like I didn't have
true.
any. I think like I do remember being at like a Ross or one of those stores, like a Marshalls or something,
Yeah,
and going through the racks of like trying to find clothes that I liked, and just like over and over again, you see like, oh, Gangster
yeah.
Taz, Gangster Tweety, Gangster Bugs, Gangster Taz again. It's like, oh my God. But now that I haven't seen them for a while, I'm like, who's going to bring it back? You know?
Yeah. That's how I feel about emo music. Now that I haven't heard it in a long time, I'm like, it's kind of fun.
I would imagine that like David Zaslav would not stand for any of that,
No.
since he won't even release a completed movie with the Looney Tunes characters. But um,
Yeah, things are
he
worse.
sucks.
Things are worse now, and he's
Yeah,
responsible.
yeah,
Interesting. I don't know. Looking on eBay, I'm like, $25. Should I get a sweater with Tweety Bird riding a motorcycle? It looked like it was in good shape.
yeah.
I was gonna say it makes me think of, it's the same feeling when you mentioned nostalgia. I remember growing up, and my friend's dad, who passed away very young, that was very sad, R.I.P. He was a collector of those old like McDonald's toys, and the glass cups you could get at McDonald's with
Right.
characters on them. And I swear, like, he probably wasn't, but in my mind, he would show us that shit and be wearing a Looney Tunes sweatshirt of some sort. Like, that's all just one in my mind of just like
Yeah,
90s merch. It was a fascinating time. Some good shit.
yeah.
We're missing out now.
This episode's gonna be a little short.
Yeah.
This time, everybody.
Yeah.
But
I had
we
to run and do some stuff.
at the same time though, we had a question in our minds, and we've
Yeah.
essentially answered it. Truly one of the most productive episodes of this podcast.
Tell us you aren't satisfied. We crushed this. I think we got to the bottom of it.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can check us
Oh boy.
out on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pocket Casts, HowDoWeHuman.com. We've been
Oh
telling you the
yeah.
website's been renovated.
New and renewed.
Anywhere that you get your podcasts, you can find this podcast and listen to past episodes and new episodes, which come out every single Monday.
You know it.
You can also rate, review, comment, subscribe, all those wonderful things. You can check us out on our social media as well. Follow us on Instagram at HowDoWeHuman.
Oh, we got that handle.
You can check us out on Facebook at HowDoWeHuman.
I don't think you're ready for that handle.
YouTube at HowDoWeHuman. This was a very screen sharing episode. So
true.
If there's any episode you want to check out, it's probably this one.
Yeah. I don't think you're ready for that handle either. It's the same handle.
Yeah, it's the same handle.
You're still not ready.
You haven't been ready for any of them. You can hang on, I don't have the phone number ready.
I've got it here.
You can leave us a voicemail. Let us know if you ever wore a Looney Tunes gangster shirt.
Yeah.
You can call us at 323-657-9896.
I know how long the phone number should be, but that last number went up and sounded like there was going to be some more numbers, so I just sat back. The best part of that number is it's a number you can call and talk to us or leave us a message.
Truly, Evan was not ready for that handle.
I was not ready for that handle.
You can also send us an email to howdowehumanpod@gmail.com.
The best part of that email is that it's not a phone number at all. Related to that, I did look up to see if we had any reviews, which leave us 5-star reviews.
Yeah.
For some reason, the number one, I don't know if it's ranked by like popularity. The number one episode that pops up when you go on Apple Podcasts and look up How Do We Human, death.
Oh, interesting.
Makes us sound a lot more intense than we are.
Yeah. Anyone who's been who's made it to the end of some of these episodes, since this is a shorter one, maybe this is your first time making it to the end of an episode.
True.
We've been taking 5-question quizzes. We're playing to 100 points. The current score, of course, is Chris with 23 points and Evan with 19 points. Let's see how the score shakes out today. Evan, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What spectral class does our sun belong to? K class, B class, A class, or G class?
Love a question that I don't even understand. What do you mean?
Man, I feel like I know the answer to this.
K-bag.
But I couldn't tell you why or how I know the answer. There's just one that is jumping out at me as correct.
There's one jumping out at me too, so I'm just gonna go with it. K is jumping out at me for some reason.
Damn it, that's the one I'm going with.
I think it's because of kelvins, because that's light terminology.
It's fine, we were both wrong. It was G class.
Of course. What is the name of Salvador Dali's most famous painting of clocks? The persistence of life, the persistence of time, the persistence of memory, or the persistence of aging?
God, this is like, almost every time there's like one sort of like, this is as close, I think, to a question that I like should for sure know.
Yeah.
And I don't.
I feel 80%. But that 20% is really fucking with me right now.
I know. I'm between two of them, and I just like I'm gonna go the persistence of memory, but I'm like not confident about it.
It stresses me out because I'm going with the persistence of time, but the persistence of memory is that 20%er that's upsetting me.
Okay. Well, this could be a chance for our score to either have a shorter gap or a longer gap. Let's see what happens. And I was correct. It was the persistence of memory. All right. What was the name of Sherlock Holmes's intelligent brother? Kind of weird because Sherlock Holmes, I would think, is also an intelligent brother. I don't know. I don't really understand that. But
he
anyway.
also had a really dumb brother. We're not talking
Jimothy, Watson, Charles, or Mycroft?
Okay.
Now, I feel like I know this 95%.
I feel like I know this 96%.
Dang, I hope we're going with different answers.
Yeah, me too.
I'm going with Mycroft.
I'm going with Minecraft.
Okay.
I'm going with Minecraft.
That is correct. Yeah, Minecraft Holmes. The intelligent brother, Minecraft Holmes.
Uh-oh, this might be up your alley, maybe. What kind of...
Sure is.
Damn it. What kind of animal did Matt Damon voice in the 2002 movie Spirit? Rabbit, lion, turtle, or horse?
I know this answer 100%.
Okay,
so,
then I'll answer first, and just
yes.
because I vaguely remember this movie, and it was about a horse. So I don't know if he was the main character, but I'm saying horse.
Yeah, it's horse.
Yeah.
All right, we both got that.
I'm still down.
Last
I
question.
need this one.
What ocean contains the spot where 0 degrees longitude meets 0 degrees latitude?
Holy
I hate this question.
Shit. Yeah. Interesting.
By the way, the options are Indian Ocean, Atlantic Ocean,
You really
Pacific Ocean, or Arctic Ocean.
You really got to get on our YouTube. Catch up with us. Fuck. Where it meets. I hate this. I've got my guess. I'm gonna say Arctic.
Okay. I'm between Atlantic and Indian.
Okay.
So we will at the very least have different answers.
We will. Indian was my second guess, but
I think I'm trying to remember.
I don't remember how this works.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember without trying to get you to change your answer to whatever I pick.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember where a specific thing on the globe is.
Okay.
And whether or not, basically which side of Africa do I think it lands on is basically where I'm struggling. You know what? I'm going to say Indian Ocean.
Okay.
And I'm going to be real pissed when it shows up as Atlantic is correct, but I'm going to say Indian Ocean.
Let's go.
Fuck.
See, I couldn't remember, is it longitude, based on the equator?
I think it was where basically
things.
where do the equator and the prime meridian meet.
Right. I couldn't remember if it was that, or obviously where I ended up going more with the poles.
Yeah.
But then I kept thinking, even that wouldn't meet in the ocean. So I don't know why I answered the way I did. I shouldn't have.
Well, at the end of the day, the score, the gap between us has in fact increased.
I know.
Where we stand now is
Bullshit.
myself with 26 points, and Evan, you have 21 points.
All right.
So if we were playing blackjack, that's where you'd want to be.
Hey,
but
maybe
we're not.
We are.
We're playing trivia up to 100 points.
Maybe we're playing blackjack. Or maybe.
That's all, folks. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.